Well, hello there, and this is Auntie, and I am coming to you with my review of Too Large, Season 1, Episode 2. Dr. Proctor is a daddy. Oh boy, I'm hoping that you all are ready for this one. Let's go.
Everybody needs a sweet old auntie. Everybody needs
with a whoop whoop and a boop boop
auntie
boop.
that everybody needs.
You can make this up.
Now you know that these are some crazy motherfuckers.
Everybody needs a sweet old auntie.
So why even bother?
Aunties and lives, sweet old auntie. Aunties and ways. Are you okay? Are you okay?
Well, hello there, everybody, and I'm back. This is Auntie, and if this is your first time being here, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And to all of my new subscribers, thank you all so much for joining the family. To all of my nieces and nephews who have been here with me for the long haul, thank you all so much for your continued support. You all, let me tell you, I have purchased Discovery Channel Plus so that you don't have to. But this particular show, I am really finding enjoyable. It is endearing. It is Dr. Proctor, and I believe it's probably going to be finished before it gets started. And this person that I am going to be talking about this week is Corey Phelps. Corey Phelps is a 26-year-old man who lives in Georgia, and he is, of course, struggling with his weight. We see him get up in the morning and everything, and he says walking around naked, okay, because he has a roommate by the name of Renee who lives with him. They live in a one-bedroom apartment, and she lives in the living room portion of it, and he lives in the bedroom, okay. And I'm going to tell you why they live this way, right? But the two of them are basically, living together. He goes into the kitchen and he starts talking to Renee about life and about things that's going on with him. And he gets a big, huge mixing bowl, pours a whole entire box of cereal into it, and then pours look like a whole pint of milk to chase it down with. He is basically living with Renee because he was homeless, and the two of them met each other at a homeless shelter. So let me tell you about his life, right? Now, this particular Too Large, it is different from My 600 Pound Life. My 600 Pound Life kind of shows you the gory side of being overweight and getting weight loss surgery, when this one actually celebrates the people. Now, they may have their own particular personality and stuff like that, but it is set up totally different than it is on My 600 Pound Life. And so it makes you, sympathetic and empathetic to the people that you see on the screen. It humanizes them, right? And so I think that I like the show for that reason, because it makes me, as a reviewer, right, approach it at a different has a different approach to it. One of the people who are going to be on this particular show, Too Large, reached out to me in my comments and said that they would like to be interviewed after I review them next week. So if my moderators are on deck, please put my email address into the comment section so that they can see that, right? And get in contact with me, because I would love to hear from you. But anyway, let's talk about Corey. So Corey tells us that he is, gay, and that, he came out. He grew up in school. Kids always picked on him called him fat. He said that he has heard every fat name known unto mankind. And so he has basically become immune to it, right? It doesn't really bother him anymore. He went to his mother. He is one of five boys. And he went to his mom and he told his mom that he, was gay. He said while his dad supported him, his mother was iffy on that. And so, he said that she kind of triangulated the family and caused, I guess, the other brothers to not be cool with him in this situation. As a result of his relationship with, with his mother and everything, he decided to leave home and he became homeless. Now, this guy was in college. He was doing a damn thing, but because of his homelessness, he ended up basically having to drop out of college and he was living under bridges. He said that when he was living with his mother and living with his family, that he had made a decision that every time, he would get upset and stuff like that, he would go and get fast food. And so food became his friend. It became his comfort. It became the roof literally over his head, right? And so he one day decided or was accepted into a homeless shelter. And this is where he met Renee. And he and Renee managed to get back on their feet, and they both got an apartment together. And now that he's got an apartment together and he feels like he's getting his life back together, he has decided that he no longer wants to be fat. And so he's very funny. He has a whole bunch of little quirky little things that he says. He says that he is, a big bitch with a bunch of C's behind it. He is just very likable. I found myself like giggling with him and not giggling at him. And I think that that's always, it's always a plus when you get to laugh with somebody and not laugh about them. And so we see, Renee on her bed and everything, and he tries to get on the bed with her. And of course, the air mattress goes all the way down to the floor. I mean, he didn't have no choice, okay? But he doesn't know how much he weighs at this point. He has no idea what his current, weight status is or whatever, weight class or whatever you want to call it. And so, but he's heard about Dr. Proctor and he decides that he wants to go to Dr. Proctor. So he goes to Dr. Proctor and, Dr. Proctor is talking to him. And when he looks at Dr. Proctor, when he comes into the room, he was like, Dr. Proctor is a daddy. And so I guess that's lingo for a fine ass man, okay? And as you can see behind me, Dr. Proctor is, some eye candy. He good to look at now, bitch, okay? Don't get it twisted. And so, he's, kind of a little flirtation with him, but he's serious about this. He gets on the scale, okay? And he has to, he doesn't know how much he weighs. He talks about a little bit about his life and stuff and the things that he went through. And Dr. Proctor was like, everybody wants to lose weight, but not everybody is successful in losing weight. And so, of course, he has to get on the scale and weigh himself. And so he gets on the scale, pull up to the scale, baby. Let's see how much you weigh. Hey, hey, come on, y'all. Pull up to the scale, Corey. And let's see how much you weigh. So Corey pulls up to the scale and everything. He's believing that he is, around 400 pounds. Corey weighs in at 662 pounds. One of the main reasons that Corey wants to get this weight loss surgery is because he realizes and recognizes, okay, that his mobility is getting worse. He can barely walk. He is not on oxygen though, but he can barely walk and get to where he, want to get to. And so it's just like really, really sad to see him, in this condition, especially being so young. Dr. Proctor talks to him about that and tells him that, he needs him to lose, 50 pounds by the time that he sees him. So he's giving him 2 months. And within that time period, he's going, he has to lose 25 pounds per month. Now, Dr. Proctor does his different than Dr. Now does, where he doesn't, indicate what kind of diet plan or if he has his own separate diet plan or whatever. But there is a diet plan that they get. So Corey goes home and now he's like, I got to do what I need to do in order to get this weight off. And so we see Corey meet up with his brother Bobby. Bobby is the only brother that really rides with him, right? The rest of them don't ride with him, don't lean with him, don't rock with him because of his sexuality. And that's so sad because you love who you love, right? What somebody does in their bedroom and all of that kind of stuff, that's nobody's business. And that really doesn't have anything to do with who you identify as. And I think that we have to learn to love people right where they are and for who they are. It's unfortunate because his dad, who was the one who was ride or die with him until the wheels fall off, recently passed away. And Corey talks about the loving relationship that he had with his father, and that his father really wanted him to get the weight off and wanted him to live a better life, a healthier life, if you will. And so we see him meet up with his brother Bobby, and Bobby was talking about that, Corey, a lot of things that Corey went through, he didn't want to take responsibility for himself, right? He wanted to blame others and stuff like that. And then when I was looking at Bobby, I was thinking to myself, Bobby, why was he homeless? You know what I mean? But you never know what the family dynamic is, what was really going on with Bobby, whether Bobby had a place of his own to even live in. And so, Auntie had to take a step back and kind of look at it a little differently. But anyway, he goes to, meet his brother to work out, and his brother is like really hard on him and got him doing weights, and he just about ready to puke. He can barely lift anything, and his brother Bobby was like, you just weak, mofo, you just weak. And so, he realizes that his brother has a uphill battle, but he is trying to support him in everything that he does. And I mean, when I say everything, I mean everything. And so at the end of the day, Bobby and Corey finish their workout. He goes back home. He changes the meals. He said that he followed the diet to the plan. And I mean, followed it to the T, right? He followed it. He never veered from it. He was serious about getting this weight off of him. So one day he gets a telephone call from Dr. Proctor, and Dr. Proctor tells him, I have bad news for you, Corey. And so Corey's like, oh my God, what is it? And so he said, I know, you've been working really hard on getting your weight off and all that kind of stuff. But there has been, an upsurge in the COVID cases. As a result of that, the hospitals for elective surgeries and the such have been canceled temporarily. And he said, so unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to have you to come into the office because we're shutting the office down for a while as well, until the cases go back down. And so, of course, Corey was devastated, but he never led on to Dr. Proctor that he was. He was, and yesing and all that kind of stuff. But he was devastated because he had done the work. He didn't know how much he weighed. And he was, kind of talking about, people not, being responsible and doing stuff like that. And as a result of that, that's why there was such an upsurge in the cases in Georgia. And so, Dr. Proctor told him, I know that I told you within 2 months I wanted you to lose 50 pounds. I'm hoping that you're working on that, Corey. He said, but at the end of the day, I'm going to have to postpone your surgery or you coming into the office for 30 days. And I need you now to lose 75 pounds. Now, Corey is like, what the fuck are you talking about? Because I don't even know whether or not I've lost the 50 pounds that you asked me to lose. And now here you're requiring me to do another 25 pounds on top of that. So, Corey is like, I don't want to backslide, and Dr. Proctor was concerned too, because he was like, a lot of times when different things happen or a monkey wrench gets thrown into the plan, it causes a lot of them to fall back on what it is that, they were working on. They get a little discouraged, disappointed. So he told him that he wanted him to see a therapist and talk to a therapist during this time period. And so we see Corey sit down and Skype with one of the doctors, and I remember her very vaguely, right? I, I, I remember her, but I can't remember what her damn name, because as far as I'm concerned, she is insignificant. And so he began to tell her about his childhood and all that kind of stuff. And she tells him that she wants him to write a letter to Fat. And I thought that that was really different. And he was like, I don't think I'm going to do that. That just sounds crazy, that kind of stuff. And she was like, I want you to write a letter to Fat, a dear Fat letter, and tell Fat and all of that kind of stuff goodbye. So while Corey was cooperative with most of the counseling session, he just thought that that was just fucking crazy. And so anyway, he goes on, he starts working out with his aunt. Now his aunt Trina came and worked out with him like Bobby was, but she was gentler with him. He thought that he was going to be able to take advantage of his aunt, but his aunt was like, put him up, put him up, put him up, put him up. Okay. She was working a stinky dink out of him. And he was like, in the process of trying to, get his life back together. So he reapplied back to college because he wanted to finish going to school and stuff. And so he had gotten an acceptance letter he had gotten a letter from the college, but he didn't know whether or not it was to let him in or not, right? Because he had filed an appeal. I guess he must have been thrown out for academic purposes, right? Because they will throw you out, and then you have to go to the board and you have to appeal the decision and all of that. And so he was laying on the grass and everything with his aunt. And he was like, Auntie, I got a letter from the college. And she was like, okay, so what letter is it? And he was like, whether or not they accepted my appeal. And he was like, and I haven't read it. And she was like, read it. Why haven't you read it? And he said, I need you to read it. And she was like, me? Right? That was a heavy thing for her because she was going to have to be the one to tell him whether or not, he was accepted back in college. And so he was, she read it and she told him that he was indeed accepted back to college. And now all he has to do is lose the weight. He said he didn't want to be in college all fat with people making fun of him and not recognizing, or seeing him as a human being, as a real person. And you know what, y'all, I'm trying to tell you, I think that we tend to, look at them like, when you see somebody that is different, whether or not they're very skinny or very fat, like whether or not they're bulimic or anorexic, or somebody who is just really morbidly obese. We do treat them different and we look at them different, right? Because it's something that we're just not used to looking at, right? And so, things like that, I'm hoping that I become more cognizant of how I interact with people who are different or who look different. And I think that this show, in my opinion, is showing that. It's showing that, you know, they are human. It's allowing us to see the human frailties and what really does happen to people. Now, the people on my 600-pound life, I think they get them from out the backwoods because when they come on there, they got all kinds of problems. He wasn't rude to anybody or nasty like the people that we see on my 600-pound life. It was none of that. None of that. And I am delighted that it's not. But anyway, so he goes, the ban has been lifted and in Georgia. And so now he can go to Dr. Proctor's office. And so he goes to Dr. Proctor's office. And right off, you can see that he has indeed lost some weight, right? I could tell it right off. I said, this is super chat. Thank you so much, Peanut Butter Gamer 235 for the 199 super chat. Auntie, you are looking fine. Keep glowing. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Hi, everybody. So, he gets on the scale. Pull up to the scale, Corey. Let's see how much you weigh. Ooh. So Corey pulls up to the scale. The aunt asks him, "You gonna take your shoes off, Corey?" Corey said, "Damn right, I'm taking these shoes off." Corey gets up on that cotton freaking scale, y'all. It's time to find out how much Corey has lost. Corey not only lost the 75 pounds that Dr. Proctor asked him to lose, he lost some additional pounds. In total, he lost 82 pounds. We see Corey just changing his mofo life. Dr. Proctor is proud of him because it was hard for him to do that. Thank you so much, She Crab Diva, for the $20 super chat. Hey, Auntie and cousins. Hey, She Crab. Hey, Boo. Hey, Diva. And Dr. Proctor is like, "You're going to get your weight loss surgery." Corey is living his mofo best life, y'all. He got the weight off. He got the surgery done. And he began to do everything that Dr. Proctor asked him to do. His brother was proud of him. His whole family was just proud. One of the challenges for Corey is that a lot of his family members are obese. And so, they do everything around food. And, when they want to celebrate them, they bring in the food. And so that was challenging for him. But he did a phenomenal job with that, right? So he called his brother Bobby over. He was losing weight, right? He had his weight loss surgery. He was losing weight, starting to lose weight. And he told his brother that he had to go out on a date. He had met a gentleman on the internet. Now I can't remember if this was before or after the surgery, because I think it was before, because the brother was like, "I want him to concentrate on that." Hold on, y'all. Thank you so much, Tanya Lewis, for the $4.99 super chat. Auntie, you're my girl. I love the story. Thank you, Tanya. I did too, Clara Dennis. Yes, I did too, Nicole. So he said, he called his brother over because he was going on a date. The brother was concerned about, him being focused on getting a boyfriend instead of being focused on getting the weight off. And so he was trying on clothes, and he was talking about how people of regular size, or what you deem as regular size, take advantage of clothing opportunities. He said that when you're heavy like that, you have to order your clothes online, and you're challenged with if they fit when they come. Corey, all the rest of us, we deal with the same exact issues. Bitch, you order something from an online store, you don't know whether or not that outfit is going to fit. And you could order it in the same size, order various things in the same size, and some of them fit and some of them don't. So don't think, Corey, that heavy people are the only people who go through this, right? Because it's absolutely not the truth. And so Corey, brother, helped him pick out a shirt and everything. And he told him, that he was concerned about it, but he wanted him to be happy. He meets this gentleman, this African American gentleman by the name of Trajan, I think it was, Trayvon or something like that. And they hit it off. Um, he said that on his dating app, he made sure that he put his picture out there because he did not want anybody to be fooled, bamboozled, or anything about, what he looked like. He wanted them to be upfront. He said that, basically when, he was a whore. He still is a whore. And he talks about, that he be getting his. Even when his brother got there, he made a comment that the brother was like, I was surprised that they had that on television, but he said it, and I was like, oh, okay. But he went out on a date with the guy. He had a picnic basket. The guy was heavy, and he was heavy too. He had been asked whether or not had ever been fetishized, and he was talking about how some people wanted to be feeders and they want to feed you and stuff like that. And I was like, oh my God, their date was just fantastic. He had a bottle of wine for him. The guy said he didn't drink, but he did stop and have a drink with him. And I thought that this, y'all, like, I'm so surprised that I totally, right, am just totally into this guy. Like, who would have thunk it from Auntie, right? I was unable to share pictures of Corey because um, I was unable to share pictures of Corey because it had the Discovery emblem on it. But I was able to find Corey on his Instagram page. And so I just want you all to see just a real quick picture. I'm going to share real quick, a real quick picture of Corey on his Instagram page. Because I think that he should be seen. So this is Corey, everybody. This is him at the height of his weight. And you could see that he just, was a happy guy and everything, and I know he tried to project that for a long time. Corey continued to go to Dr. Phillips. He continued to do the exercise. He continued to do the dieting. He did everything that he was supposed to do. At the end of the show, it shows their family and stuff gathered together. So all the family gathered together because they wanted to see how much weight Corey had lost. This was his big celebration and all of that kind of stuff. And when Corey family was there, they were talking about how excited and stuff like that they were about Corey and about his weight loss. And everybody just was excited to see him. Corey came down and lost 200, was it 200, 250 or even 350 pounds, y'all. And this is a picture of Corey now. So excited to share it. This is Corey. He changed his hair. He still got some weight that he needs to get off of him. But this is Corey. He dyed his hair blue. He bust out for the family, and everybody was so excited to see Corey with all his weight loss and in all his glory. His brother began to talk about the tenacity and the audacity that it took for Corey to be successful in doing this. Because as we know, it's not enough to just get your stomach reduced and all of that kind of stuff. You still got to follow it. Corey had another session with his counselor, and he did write that story to Fat. And bitch, I ain't gonna sit on here and cry. I ain't gonna do it, Corey. But Corey wrote a letter to Fat, and he told Fat goodbye. I don't need you anymore. I don't basically want to see you anymore. Thank you for the time we was together, but it's over now. I'm divorcing you and I'm going on about my way. And you know what the psychologist said? You know what, Corey, that's all good. But here's how you could have wrote it. Thank you, Fat, for being my friend. Thank you, Food, for loving me when nobody else would love me. Thank you, Food, for being with me when I was homeless. Thank you, Food, for making me feel secure. Man, let me tell you, that doctor and Corey almost had me falling out the seat. It was so beautiful. Corey began to cry because he had looked at it as a bad thing because, he had to struggle to get it off. But she reminded him that when he was in his darkest hour, that Food was there for him. And now that he has changed his attitude about food and he has begun the process of losing weight, that he needed to be thankful and grateful to Food. Y'all, let me tell y'all, this was such a good episode. I mean, if you have Discovery Plus, please look at it. This show is called Too Large. It's with Dr. Proctor. I swear I would love to get Dr. Proctor on this show. And I'm talking about on this show. And so I may be reaching out to him to have him talk about the concept and all that of this show because it is dynamic. I mean, it is fantastic. To the individual that reached out to me, please use my email address. Let me type it in here real quick if I can. And when I covered your episode next week, I will be more than happy to bring you on the panel. I mean, here on the channel and interview and talk to you. I am so praying that you have such a great success story, that everything worked out for you just fine. And I'm so excited about seeing you and meeting you. Thank you so much for reaching out to me. But this right here is the best way for you to do it. Make sure that you let me know who you are, right? Because I saw your name and I don't want to yell it out in front of everybody. But I saw your name and I'm telling you, I'm sure that absolutely fabulous me. Absolutely fabulous me, but we all got to be ready, right? We all have to be ready to make that change. I don't care what the habit is or what it is that you're struggling with in your life until you're ready. Everybody around you can say and do and make suggestions and all that kind of stuff. But we don't make a change until we are ready to make a change. Don't beat yourself up. Take it one day at a time. They say that the way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time. And that's the same way that you have to attack what it is that you're going through in your life. And you know what? Find yourself a support system of people who are like minded and they can help you, with any struggle or anything that you need help with, right? Don't be afraid to reach out and do exactly what it is that you need to do. So anyway, y'all, thank you all so much for being here. I appreciate and I love you all to pieces. Again, I have brought Discovery Plus so that you don't have to. If there's another show on Discovery Plus that you would like for me to cover, please let me know what that show is in my inbox, right? At that same email address. Let me put it back up here again. My moderator extraordinaire has put it in there for us. Please feel free to reach out to me and let me know what it is. And if I like it and I think it's something I can do, I'll do it for you. Love you all so much and have a great evening. Congratulations, Corey. Bye, y'all.